Hello, you guys, and thank you so much for tuning into my channel. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that has recently subscribed. Um, thank you so much for liking, commenting, even if you didn't like some of the things I said. I really do appreciate your support. So, I just wanted to talk to you guys. I don't know if this video is going to be long or if it's going to be short, but I just wanted to talk about the idea of being outed. You know, in my journey of transition, I've been in different stages, but regardless of where I've been in transition, the idea of being clocked or being outed by someone that knew that I was in fact a transgender woman, it loomed over my head and it scared me. And it's funny how I had friends or acquaintances who, even though I never tried to hide the fact that I was trans, jokingly they would always say, if you piss me off, I'm going to tell people that you're really a man. And it was always something that I felt that there was a certain group of my acquaintances felt that they had over me. And it's so weird because my transition, I was always vocal and I tried my best in university and going into the workplace to be as open and as honest as I could be. I never tried to hide the fact that I was transgender. And I suppose early in my transition, it was easier to be vocal because it was more evident and there was that awkwardness that often comes in when you are trying to, try yourself out when you're in the early stages of transition. It was easy to be more open. But I think after I reached a stage where I started settling into my transition and the hormones started to really take effect, that's when I noticed that I was in a situation where some people would not always know that I was trans. And although you would think that, oh wow, this is wonderful that I can now blend into society, there was an anxiety there because when I would go into, a workplace, a new job, and I wasn't sure if I wanted everyone to know everything that there was about me. I remember back in 2019, I started a job and I was trying to live stealth, meaning I didn't tell anyone that I was trans. I think I told some of my friends a month after I had started working there because I wanted them to get to know me. And in the previous job, I had made it a point to tell every single person that I knew because I felt that by doing that and being open and vulnerable and honest and answering whatever questions may have come up, that I would be handling it in the best way. But did that not bite me in the ass? The problem with going up and telling everyone your pain story, your trauma story, your shame story, is that you've not yet established a relationship where you know whether or not they are a friend, an ally, or an enemy. And I would put myself into so many situations where I ended up being hurt or victimized or taken advantage of in some way, because I met people in transition, and I would quickly tell them I was trans, and in telling them I would communicate the message that at that point believed that I was not good enough, believed that I needed their validation and their approval and acceptance. And that automatically changes a power dynamic when we talk about a friendship or an acquaintance or even a romantic relationship. Once you step into it with this idea that I am broken, that there is some deficit, that there is some dark secret that you must accept, you give the other person undue power over you. So I realized that, and then when I started my other job in 2019, I was quiet about being transgender. I was in stealth mode. I did eventually come out to my close friend circle, but I allowed people to think what they were going to think. All of my information, my passport, identity information, all of that had all of the markers, like if they wanted to know if I was born male or female, all of that information was in, the work database. And I just felt that it wasn't my responsibility to go and explain myself to each and every person, that if a person heard that I was transgender, or it had been said, or they were curious, they would come up and ask me, or they would discuss it with whoever is talking about it, who's talking about it. I learned that there is beauty in allowing people to just clock you and allowing people to just out you if they want to. When you hold on to this idea that everyone must see me in this specific way, you give up your power, you give up fragments of your power to all of those people. But when you stand in your authenticity and you say, I am who I am, if you want to go talk shit about me, make sure it's behind my back, because if it's in front of my face, I'm going to throw these hands. Or if it's in the workplace, what I'm going to do is, play the victim, because I already am. Lean into that victim role and make everyone else aware of how I'm being treated. The thing is, as a transgender woman, or as a transgender person, or a gender non-binary person, people will try you. People will try you all of the time. I've had incidences at work, at different places that I've worked, where people have come up and tried to be hostile. People have tried to make jokes about me. And you know what I do? This is my technique. I simply ask them to repeat themselves as though I did not hear. The second time, if somebody throws an insult and you're like, excuse me, what did you just say? Once they can sort of sense some seriousness in your voice, there's a little bit of hesitation. Now, if you're dealing with a complete asshole, they might be like, you heard what I said. Be like, no, repeat it. Repeat it. One more time. They might repeat it with a little less strength. Ask them to say it to you one more time and stand up. That's when it either, in my case, people usually, they always back off. They're always afraid. They're always like, nah, they'll always mumble something under their breath. But once they see me stand up and show them that I'm not going to be intimidated, they move away. Now, there have been incidences where people have tried to say things, made jokes, and continued. Earlier in the video, I said, if you're being treated like a victim, baby, lean into it. It is what it is. You might as well lean into it. And what I would do in situations like that, when people would bring up my gender identity or expression in a very hateful way, I would just be like, why would you say that? You're making me feel very, very uncomfortable. And I feel threatened in this situation right now. When you say that, not fighting as it is, and they are witnesses, and you lean into that victim, baby, everyone can see what is going on. That's when you have a case with HR. That's when you can at least, stand up for your truth. Usually what people do is they will start, like smear campaigns. They'll out you to everyone who comes into the company. They'll talk about you behind your back and do, different things. Now, when that happens, it's so easy for you to see what's going on and want to defend every rumor, want to go up to every person who's been lied to about you and just defend yourself. But you know what? When you're always fighting to defend yourself, you end up looking unstable. You end up looking crazy. People think that, oh, there must be something to all of this talk about this person, because look at how they're behaving. Suddenly, despite the fact that people have ganged up against you and tried to victimize you, suddenly, despite the fact that people continue to do terrible things to you and continue to try and make your space difficult, when you act with aggression, when you act with a quick clap back and all of that, often you're the one that's painted as the bad person. So my advice is, honestly, when people want to out you, let them out you. Let them out you. And matter of fact, if people come up to you and say things like, wait, are you like a woman, or like, are you trans? Like, do you know what my response is now? Maybe I laugh. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get that all the time. I'm actually trans. I have like a big old dick down here. Like, I'm a whole genetically born male. I am not a woman. I'm trans. I'm trans M to F. And you know why I lean into it like that? Do you know why I go into it like that? Because anyone who has the audacity to even ask you a question like that, are you a woman or are you trans, already has decided how they view trans people and how they view women. And when they see you're not bothered and it doesn't matter how you choose to classify them, your transition was always about standing in your truth. Often people, when they don't get the reaction they were hoping and expecting to get, suddenly it becomes less interesting to talk about that person. Think about it. The person who came in who was maybe very unattractive, overweight, or had something about them that made them look different from everyone else. Now, when they get made fun of and react in a very irrational way or in a very emotional way, it sometimes makes the joke a little funnier. And there's always that one person in the group who just won't stop and just like keeps everything going, and the person who's feeling victimized ends up, it ends up being far worse. But when you walk in and people are making fun of you or treating you in some way, or being like, oh my gosh, you're so fat, and you just giggle and you're like, yeah, I'm a fat bitch. Baby, I will eat everything up in this place. I'll eat your mama, I'll eat that house, I'll eat the car, I'll eat everything. You know I'm fat. When you can stand in it, 10 toes down, and be like, baby, your words are words. I've heard these. Not only have I heard horrible transphobic words, I've seen the barrel of a loaded gun staring at me. I've had people come at me and jam their knives into my flesh. The words that you speak, the pain that you try to bring, the slander that you try to throw, it's kind of like it'll serve no purpose. When you, my beautiful dear trans sister, my beautiful two-spirit angel that is looking at me, can stand in your truth and know that, look, if they out me, they're going to talk, and then they'll talk about something else. That's when you know you've mastered your life, when the voice inside is far greater and stronger than all of the voices outside. That's when you truly have mastered your life. You let people talk their shit because you realize that you don't need their cosign. God gave it to you when he literally threw in that lifeline and gave you another chance at being alive. So the next time you're worried about Bob from the job, that funky dude from accountant, like that funky dude from the accounting department that wants to tell everyone your business, the next time you're worried about Bob from the job, consider everything you've lived through, everything you've overcome to be at this point. And think about all of the people that stand in love and celebration for everything that you are. When you stand in your truth and you just laugh and you don't pay any mind, you actually create allies in the workspace, because people, when someone is being made fun of or being bullied and harassed and they don't flinch, they kind of giggle and they just continue on. And they stand in their strength and they come in every day looking amazing. It kind of should, you get to a point where you're like, y'all, this joke isn't even funny anymore. Let's move on. It always happens. It's like, even before I transitioned, right? When I was in high school, so I used to, I was a cutter. And I had an eating disorder, it was a lot going on. And I was super, super miserable. And the kids at school, the boys at school kind of found out. Well, everyone found out. And then I got bullied severely. I'm talking getting beat up and all of that. And I'd walk in school and people would act like they were, hanging from a tree by their neck. And this was all done to taunt me. Now, I was a 14-year-old kid, and I remember just being overwhelmed with sadness and anger. And the first couple of months, it really got to me, and then eventually maybe I was numb, but I let them talk their shit. I was like, y'all don't like me, so I don't have to win y'all over anyways. And I remember I was like, well, I'm only here for a year, and I was only at that school for a year. So I decided that I was going to focus on having fun at school. Like, if teachers made jokes, I would participate. I would just be friendly with people who were friendly to me, which were usually the teachers. And I ended up becoming like kind of like a class clown because, look, when I was younger, I was extremely witty. I ended up becoming a class clown, and everyone ended up liking me. Surprisingly, it was weird. But I got to a point where I realized that I'm not going to allow these people to make me feel like I don't belong in a space. When you're a trans person, you're often going to be told that your mere presence is not welcome. You'll walk into restaurants, salons, like, girl, it could literally be at the Mac store. It could be at the Mac store. But more often than not, we walk into workspaces where we are continually antagonized or made fun of, and people try their best to tear us down. And I'm here to tell you that, baby, you better keep that job. Don't you dare go do OnlyFans. Keep that job. Oh, excuse me. Keep that job, like, just keep going to work, keep like shining, keep doing your best, and keep working on your goals. Become so obsessed with the goal of your transition and whatever your transition goals look like, whether it's surgery, whether it's saving up enough money to move somewhere. Focus on a goal. Make it your brilliant and beautiful obsession. Focus on that to the exclusion of everything else. Be so lost in that world that you don't hear any of the chitter chatter of the outside world. But don't give up on you. Don't stop walking your journey or continuing to move towards the light because other people are trying to dim it. Let them laugh, let them clock you, but don't ever let them think that their words affect you. Their words are only words, and it is always your own interpretation of those words. I could say the worst things to you, the most transphobic, hateful, most racist things that ever existed, the worst language that the devil could have written himself. I could say all of that in Swahili, and you wouldn't understand me. It would mean nothing. It would just be words that I'm throwing at you. It is always our interpretation of those words. And sometimes when you get to work, you gotta put them earphones in, be stuck scrolling on your phone, and do what you need to do. Listen to those positive, like soothing meditation songs in the background. Hell, if you want to listen to some sexy red and be stuck in that world, focus on that. Allow all of that to be a distraction while they talk about whatever the hell they need to talk about. Anyways, I have rambled. Thank you for letting me talk to you guys. I hope you're having an awesome day. And yeah, I love you. Know that you are incredible, amazing, and perfect. Just as you are, ever expanding into more. Even if this is day one of transition, you are growing and you are just expanding. Even if you're on day or year 16, like, you're always expanding and you're always growing. I wish you love. I pray for you. yeah, just take care of yourself. And do not let the voice on the outside become stronger than the voice on the inside. You are loved. All right, bye.